We have Vikings and the Packers, and the Packers finally won. They broke their 3-game lose streak. Woo!
What was it? RELAX. Anyway.
Yeah. Now, there's three superstitions that came behind this game. Uh, the first being Mike Ditka finally took off his Packers sweatshirt. That's what.
It's actually pretty damn funny.
That's yeah. So people figured that contributed to the win of the game. Another one I heard is James Jones' hoodie is the reason that they won the game.
I didn't know anyone was talking about that, but I also noticed that he was wearing a hoodie, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Is that the first in
Awesome.
NFL? I've
I
never
don't
seen
know. I
that
don't,
anybody wear a hoodie, and like
yeah,
it's funny because he kept saying, "I'm from California." Like, I'm cold.
yeah.
I'm like, man, you gotta keep playing until January. You're cold now. I love James Jones. I don't want to say anything bad by any means, but uh, and then my personal favorite is the damn squirrel on the field contributed to
Well,
the
hold on.
Packers win.
All right. I don't usually do this for games,
Mm-hmm.
but I think this game warrants it as far as assigning an MVP for the game.
Mm-hmm.
That squirrel had so many fucking rushing yards. Like, it was insane. If you took in, like, sideways yards into account, like, like horizontal running as well
Yeah.
as vertical, man, it was impressive. This is a little side note. Since we went on the squirrel. Squirrel. It kind of reminds me. Remember that old song, "The Day the Squirrel Went Berserk," and the self-righteous fish and all that. If you don't know that, you should. Some of you might know. But whoever had the job of catching that squirrel, that seems like just the funnest show.
Yeah.
Like, you just see him running after the squirrel, and it's like, man, what would have happened if some redneck would have shot that thing? They would have
Whoa.
lost their mind.
You know, here I gotta give Fox like the best benefit of the doubt is they didn't need to even show that squirrel on TV at all. Like they could have just completely bypassed it and like it could have been something like on Twitter or maybe Sports Center would have had like a small tidbit or whatever. Like they didn't have to show it because this is the game of the week too. So like it's national and they didn't have to show the squirrel on TV, but they decided to. And the best thing they did was it was end of the first quarter. They show the score on the bottom of the screen, and they show this fucking squirrel just running in slow motion, and I'm like, this is one of the best fade outs to commercial
Yeah,
I've
and it
ever
had
seen in
voiceovers.
NFL. Yeah, like
Joe Buck and Aikman. Yeah.
one of the best fade outs I've ever seen going to commercial ever in like NFL history is this goddamn squirrel running. And ever since they showed it, I was just watching the rest of the game hoping that there'd be some big play. You just get to see the squirrel just sprint across the field. Like never happened though, unfortunately. Hey, we just spent like 5 minutes talking about this. We should definitely talk about the game instead.
I mean, the game itself, I mean, I'm sure that you, as a fan of Green Bay, might disagree, but I didn't find it that interesting. Green Bay blew several of the pants off of Minnesota. The game might not look like a huge blowout with the final score,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a little deceptive. The Vikings were never really in this game. From, let's see here, the second quarter on, that was it. I
Yeah.
know that Green Bay didn't score a lot of points, but the Vikings weren't doing anything.
They scored a
Adrian
shit ton of
Peterson,
field goals, and all of them were above 40 yards.
yeah, Adrian
5 for
Peterson
5.
got mostly shut down.
That is what contributed to the game the most. Is
Right.
they
Julius
shut down Adrian
Peppers,
Peterson
Julius Peppers, man, he had a great game. Hurt Teddy Bridgewater.
and temporarily.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. When I saw Teddy Bridgewater go down, I'm like, man, you guys are struggling already. Now what the fuck are you gonna do?
it is interesting that the Packers lost those games, and the Vikings seemed red hot,
Yeah,
and the Packers just kind of reasserted their dominance when they really, really had to.
in
So a lot of people
Minnesota
were
too.
picking, yeah, a lot of people were picking the Vikings to just overtake Packers for the division. I
Yeah.
told them, I said, hold up, y'all. They're playing each other. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And Green Bay has the tiebreaker right now and is in first. Same record, but with the head-to-head win, still in first. And it's going to be pretty interesting down the stretch. Do they
Yeah.
play each other last?
Last
That's
game of the
yeah,
season,
and I
Vikings and
think
at Lambeau
that could potentially
in
decide the season.
January.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, Minnesota does play inside, right? So
Well, not this year because they're rebuilding their new stadium, so
that's
they've been
true.
playing at the University of Minnesota, which is outdoors.
So I don't know how much being outside in the bother them.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting, and I think both teams are going to be playoff bound. Didn't we just see this a couple years ago in the NFC North? Was it the
2 years ago. Yeah.
Green Bay and
What
Chicago?
happened was, well, no. 2 years ago, it was the last game of the season. Packers Minnesota played at Lambeau. Packers lost.
Yeah.
And then first game of the playoffs, Packers Vikings played at Lambeau. Packers won.
Could have swore this happened a few years before that with Green Bay and Chicago.
Oh yeah, but Chicago actually won the division that year.
Right, right. Anyways, you don't want to talk about that. So.
Well, whatever. Um,
But I'm sorry, I brought up painful memories. But Vikings and Packers both looking playoff bound. The NFC looks a little bit more wrapped up, I think, because of that
yeah.
than maybe the AFC. And yeah, it was a not the greatest game. The score was probably the most.
Anybody could go back. I think it was like week 4. I flat out said, Seahawks are not making the playoffs. Vikings are going to take the wild card spot from them. At this point in time, we're in week 11, going to week 12.
That's looking true.
It's looking very true. And, man, at this point, despite this game alone, I mean, Packers also did beat the Seahawks earlier this year, but I think Vikings are a better team than the Seahawks as of right now. Especially Marshawn Lynch going down.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And, you know, that's exactly, you mentioned Julius Peppers. I want to mention Clay Matthews.
Yeah.
If you watch the highlights, almost every single time that Adrian Peterson tried to run it up the middle, Clay Matthews is right there to wrap him up. Right there. I cannot even attest of how amazing Clay Matthews has taken over the inside linebacker job for the Packers, and it's helped tremendously. And I said it the past 2 weeks in a row. This is a blitzing team. You gotta let them blitz, and that's exactly what they did. They stopped the run. They sacked Teddy Bridgewater 6 times. They got an interception because of it. This is your defense that works. Now, if Dom Capers is smart, this is the same defense you gotta do the rest of the year. And, you know, even on top of that, you know, you got 2 rookie corners. They're doing better and better. You know, they're rookies. I gotta understand they're gonna make rookie mistakes. Sam Shields is back, which helps a lot. But all that together, you're gonna put pressure on the quarterback. He's gonna make bad throws. You allow your secondary to make plays from there. Don't play zone defense and just assume your secondary is always going to be there because they're not set up for that way. And this is the game that Dom Capers, fortunately, was smart enough to change back to his old style defense that we're seeing at the beginning of the year. And this is why I think the Packers won. Offensively,
interesting thing, yeah, I was about to mention offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rodgers still isn't quite back to his old self.
Offensively, I felt Rodgers struggle a little bit. The other thing, Vikings had 120 yards and penalties. They're shooting themselves in the foot. You know,
Yeah.
They're playing. They're just really shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. There was a statistic at one time. I think it was in the second or third quarter. They had like 6 penalties, 80 yards. Vikings, 0 penalties, 0 yards. Packers. You're gonna lose games at that.
Yeah.
You know, that's playing
down,
simple.
all the way down the damn football field.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. I mean, if you're scoring over 100 yards of penalties, that's a free touchdown. Like, literally, that's just a free touchdown for the other team right there in penalties. And Rodgers, you know, he's looking better, I guess. He looked sloppy first half. He looked good second half. I'll say that
Yeah,
much.
he seemed like he was getting it back together.
But
So
the
maybe he's
biggest
out of his
thing,
slump.
the biggest thing offensively, Eddie Lacy came back.
He did.
Came out of
He did.
nowhere and he
No,
was
almost forgot
explosive.
that. I almost forgot
You
that. I
know,
was ready to wrap this up, and I
yeah,
completely forgot about it. Like, yeah, he did. He did.
my boy's back. The New Orleans boy is back. You know,
Yeah.
I am sure was really happy about that. Originally in the beginning of the game, they were giving the carries to Starks, and
Right.
he's getting a few yards here or there, and then they tried out Lacey, and man, was he explosive again. I mean, this is the Lacey that we saw last year, Eddie Lacy. And if this is the same Eddie Lacy that we can see out for the rest of the year into the playoffs, Packers looking solid. Packers are, which is good because if Rodgers, if he doesn't want to play at an elite caliber, if he can still just carry the team and your defense is playing good and Eddie Lacy's playing like that, that's all you need to win games. It helps when Rodgers is playing
Yeah.
at full elite caliber, but if he even wants to play just good enough, it's all you need.
If Rodgers comes back into form, you got a run game, you got a defense. Packers look good right now.
Yeah,
Packers look good,
yeah.
and could potentially get even better. So
Hopefully,
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's
we will.
as always, we always go long in these videos. I have a lot to say, but that's all right. I think this is all good. So I think we should wrap it up. And yeah, let's do it. So follow us on Facebook and Twitter. You can let us know what you feel about the Packers and the Vikings. It's honestly both great teams. Yeah, we're both making the playoffs. Both very good threats to have in the NFL this year, and you can let us know what you think about that, and make sure to follow us. So there you go. There you go. Oh
There you
fuck, I
go.
got my mice in here. Oh, there's my mice. Oh, my face. Oh, my face.